Welcome back, everyone. We continue with another weekend of Kart Rider Drift League. My name is Will Cho, joined by Peter today, and we have another weekend, which means we've got more team matches and solo matches today.
Yeah, we love it when we can mix them up always, and especially in solo matches, we have such a packed roster today, and I can't wait to see that. But also in team matches, finally, amateurs get some breathing space.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, they've always had to kind of go up against all the pro teams so far. We're going to see a couple, amateur head-to-heads today. So maybe we'll start to see also some of them try to break apart from each other, right? Try to enter into that contention for the top four going into the postseason playoffs. And then on top of that, like you said, obviously today we begin the round of 16 here for solos, which does mean no one's getting eliminated today. Right now we enter that double elimination phase here for the solo matches.
I'm sure the fans are also happy to see that because we have so many players today that we don't want to see eliminated. But let's take a look at the overview. Right now we are in the main stage where 8 teams are fighting for a spot in the postseason, where they will be going through double elimination bracket phases. And of course, there's a hefty prize money pool for our winners.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got, of course, kind of the go-to top 4 lined up right there at this top, as you can see on the leaderboard as well. Just something we want to note if you have been following the league so far. ShowTime is currently in last place with 0 wins. There was further review in their past match against the Guangdong Freaks, and it has been concluded that Guangdong Freaks will be taking the victory in that one. So a bit of a fix on the ruling there, so we apologize for any confusion, but ShowTime, they are still looking for that first win on the board.
Yep, they would absolutely love to have it, but at this point, I must say it's looking pretty difficult to make it to postseason unless we start seeing teams like Aura and Sensation really choke up as well, because in the 1, 2, 3, our pro teams are sitting with 0 losses.
Yeah, and I think, that's somewhat to be expected. The real question is obviously them going against each other. How does that start to look? But like we teased, today we get to see ShowTime and Potential going up against each other, and then Sensation and Seraphic as well. So, like you just mentioned, Peter, obviously 2 of these teams trying to contend to get into 4th place, and then 2 of them just trying to get a win on the board as well.
Yeah, Sensation definitely got to pick up a win today because they took a pretty big loss to Rocks that really killed their momentum. And of course, the solo matches we kept talking about, if you take a look at the names, there's not really any name on there that you haven't seen if you've watched Preseason 2 of KDL.
Yeah, and of course, even going back to Preseason 1, I believe we have, 5 of these guys who were in the final 8 of Preseason 1 solos. So a very, very stacked first group here for the round of 16, and we'll see how that goes. Of course, that will be at the end of the day. We begin with the 2 team matches, and then we will bring you that solo match. And if you haven't been following, the solo matches, of course, are just the speed up to a point system, and the team matches, we go through speed and item mode, and if they are tied up after that, we go to a one-on-one ace match.
Very exciting stuff waiting for us at the end of the day, but first we do have our team match between ShowTime and Potential, and of course we're gonna show ShowTime first on stage. And these guys, they're right now sitting at 4 losses in total, so they really got to pick up this win if they want to keep even a 1% chance alive of going to the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've shown some promise here and there, right? Clearly, the skill there, and not, no pun intended to their opponents, but the potential is there here for this team as well. But no official win yet on the board, and they're looking to make that happen today as they finally face a relatively weaker opponent.
Yeah, in the prelims when ShowTime took on Potential, they actually were able to win in both speed and item in a pretty dominating fashion, but we do have the players of Potential now taking the stage, and I must say, this is a team that, as you said, showed the most potential in the first week. Just that ever since then, they've been struggling. They were able to get to those ace matches and have Summer go up there 3 times, but each time they lost.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough, right? If you're kind of seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, but not quite able to escape it just yet, right? You're getting to the ace matches, but we've talked about this before. I mean, in relation to, for instance, Rocks, where, they were able to get their wins off of their ace matches in Preseason 1. It's like, if you always have to go to the ace match, it never really feels that consistent whether you're winning or losing. So you got to find a way where you can win both the speed and item mode, and that's what makes team matches so interesting, is that you can be experts in one mode, but if you're not so good on the other, you always have to kind of rely on that 1v1 and the condition of that day.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the average speed rank between our players in ShowTime, we must say that the speed ace of Ghost that really stands out, he hasn't been able to find the best average ranking.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing what he can to try to always get into the podium overall here in the team matches, but he's kind of on his lonesome, right? And even then, he's not averaging always like 1 or 2, something like that. So, Ghost, I think, even in the community, a lot of people saying, like, this guy seems so promising, whether it's with this roster or not in the future. We hope he can continue to really shine and prove his value, because his races have looked good. It's just that, again, in team matches, you got to be able to really even out the overall distribution of your standings.
Yeah, I feel like Monster is a great support for him, so hopefully I see those two taking up that 1-2 punch line pretty consistently against Potential here. And as we talked about briefly earlier, Potential, they're looking for a revenge here today since the prelims, and they are so far undefeated in item matches, which I think is a stat worth noting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with their item ace Banana, we hyped him up a lot in preseason 1. He didn't find much success, and he's now finally seeing it with the change in the meta and item mode. Can they continue that today? Because if they can go in confidently knowing that we'll at least beat you again here in item mode, or this time around rather, we'll be able to at least maybe go to that ace match. And just making a joke about the last taunt from ShowTime, but let's get rid of all this relativity and who beat who and all the chain, right? We'll just have to show up in today's matches.
Yeah, that was a pretty long sentence there, a
Yeah.
hefty one. I think that's the longest comeback I've seen in a while, but definitely I think between these two teams, it's going to be pivotal to see who wins in speed mode, because
Yes.
whoever takes that momentum, I feel like could take it 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Both of them have shown some promises in item mode. So let's take a look at the tracks here for speed mode. As you mentioned, this is going to be the important one. ShowTime did have speed priority, or they took speed priority rather, sorry about that. They won the coin flip, and their first pick will be World Tour Terracotta Twister.
We've seen Terracotta Twister as a popular pick so many times, so it's not too surprising there, but Desert Construction Chaos coming out from Potential, along with Glacier Extreme Stadium, I must say, this team, they're not shy of some of the harder tracks, and of course, Zigzag Timberland is also one of those very difficult tracks, and then finalizing it with New York Rally. What's your take on New York Rally there, Will?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting to me. It's funny you mentioned New York Rally, because New York Rally and then the fourth track, Extreme Stadium, those are the relatively wider tracks compared to the first seed, right? Especially New York Rally. Obviously, it's still a difficult one, but these two teams are going on the difficult tracks right off the get-go, really just trying to prove the superiority. So we'll find out how it begins as we go into round number 1. And the race begins. Speed mode between ShowTime and Potential here in round 1 over on Terracotta Twister.
Yeah, we can see our players taking some aggressive cuts there to build up that booster gauge, but Ghost is having a phenomenal lead right now, and this is that 1-2 punch I was talking about between Ghost and Monster. If Summer is not able to dismantle this, it could be troublesome.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully for Potential, everyone's still relatively grouped up. It's not like they're all entirely behind. They have their members dispersed here and there. And with the drafts, and as we go into the tombs, they should have a little opportunity here.
Yeah, Monster got kicked out of line there, and as you said, this is the tombs where players like to go for a little stop, sometimes go for a full body tackle in order to try to execute each other. But so far, Ghost is maintaining that lead beautifully and takes a nice little line there.
Yeah, and Potential, they actually had to kind of avoid bumping into each other, and they decided to play it safe and just say, okay, we're grouped as 3 here in the middle of the pack. We can still make a play in the second lap. And that did give an opening, right? FaZe took it right away and said, all right, I'll start to break open these ranks, and this way they have the 1-3-5 right now over on ShowTime.
ShowTime has been really relying on Ghost so far to keep up that rank 1 position, but Summer, he's been hot on his heels so far. Monster now trying to go for the body check. He does manage to pass, and now it's up to Monster to try to block Summer out as much as possible like this.
Yeah, and looking at the minimap, it does look like Flare is quite far behind, so as long as FaZe can actually hold on to number 5, Monster, he just has to contest against Summer, right? He doesn't necessarily need the 1-2 punch, as long as he doesn't lose absolutely on third either. Right now, 2 players right behind him.
Oh, Monster!
As we say it, the caster Chris strikes and he falls off the track.
Yeah, right now, but Ghost is still maintaining that first place, and as you said, FaZe, he moved up to 3rd place now, so he needs to maintain this to buy more time for Monster and Flare.
Yeah, I mean, he has to actually get all the way up front, right? Because 2 of their teammates now, after falling off the track, they're in 7th and 8th, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Potential with the 21 points, and they'll finish just that way with a 3-point lead, taking track number 1.
Man, Ghost was so good there for ShowTime, being consistent with that first place holding. But Monster, once he fell out of line, he fell all the way to 7th place, and there was no recovery for ShowTime there.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, we were just talking about Monster. He just had to play it safe, right? Just had to hold on to 2nd or 3rd place. But as it happens on Terracotta Twister now and then, you go into that indoor area. If someone else puts pressure on you, you try to, make a fix for it and you fall off the track. That's a rough one for Monster because he was doing so well for basically 75% of the race.
Yeah, I feel like, at least based on the form we've seen, if we can ignore that one little slip up there, I do like what we're seeing from ShowTime today in speed. This is the best they've looked so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is also credit to Potential, right? Putting on that pressure against Monster, saying, okay, there's still like 2 of us right behind you. Because here's the thing, if there's 2 members behind you, suddenly you're like, well, I can't just let one pass and be guaranteed 3rd place, right? Now I have to figure out how I'm going to defend against both of these players, and it looks like the pressure did force an error out of Monster. Well, Potential is leading 1-0 right now in speed mode. We will find out if they can keep it as we go into track number 2 on Desert Construction Chaos.
We begin our race in team track choice of Potential. As we see Wave there, he did get a bit knocked out into the gate. He's trying to look for the recovery. His team does have a pretty good position, however.
Yeah, I mean, also with those cuts that he was doing, he was able to really just block off and slow down the members here behind in ShowTime. So Flair once again sitting in 8th place this time. See if he can try to make a break for it. He's trying to fight just to make sure that he can have some importance, right? Just to go for a little bit of sweeping or at least maybe make a difference between 7th and 6th place.
And right now we're seeing Summer being the dominant player here so far for Potential. However, this is that construction area where things get dicey, and as our players, they're gonna look for the body checks.
Yeah, I mean, especially after the first 2 places, they're really bunched up right now. So it's only lap 1. I don't expect anyone to go for anything too aggressive. Everyone probably just going to slow down, just try to get through it safely, avoiding the chaos itself. And that's exactly what happens here in lap 1.
Man, Summer, he's having such a good time right now, only being followed by FaZe. ShowTime is actually behind in position so far. They need to find a way to push Temin down to be 7-8 with Wave.
Yeah, and FaZe will burn through all his boost to try to overtake and get that number 1 position. But Summer, he's saved up that boost and he immediately takes it back as they enter lap 2.
Right now we're seeing Best, Summer, FaZe, and Ghost. These are the top 4 players fighting right now for a spot in 1-2. But FaZe is managing to find the blocks on Best so far. And we see Temin now coming into the picture as well.
Yeah, and with this, I mean, Potential does have a bit of an advantage, right? 3 versus 2 here in the front of the pack.
Yeah, right now it's a 1-2 for Potential. We're seeing Ghost going for the inner there, actually blocking out Best, but Best with a nice recovery, and then it's Ghost's turn again.
Yeah, Ghost was able to maintain his speed better as Best had to kind of slow down to defend his position. Ghost now with the draft, he bumps Summer, but he's not. Oh, Ghost with a nice block as he recovers himself. Now, as we enter the 90-degree turns, Ghost, he's gonna be able to block out Temin once again, but here's the thing, Ghost is all on his own once again here for ShowTime.
Yeah, we've seen so much body blocking happening just now from Ghost, but it's for nothing when we're seeing 5, 6, 7 being held by ShowTime. It's looking like Potential's gonna finish this off.
Oh, Flair does shoot forward, and that's going to help secure it. We all had but written off ShowTime, and right as they land on that final jump, Flair comes to save Ghost and say, you're not alone, brings them the necessary points to take track number 2.
Yeah, it's crazy how Flair was able to propel all the way into 2nd place, and right as I was about to say that Potential's probably going to have this one, I was looking at the team points and it was really close. It actually ended 21-18, 3 points in favor for ShowTime there, and I've seen Temin. He went through a bit of a hiccup in the construction area, but he was able to recover beautifully. Somehow, at the end there, it seems he lost focus.
Yeah, I mean, Potential definitely getting a little bit shaken up there, so we'll have to wait and see if we can get a replay of exactly what happened before we go into the next round. Of course, the next round will be for Zigzag Timberland. Looks like we just have a couple things we want to check on stage as well, so we'll give the players and the stage a moment to go through that. But yeah, what a crazy finish.
Yeah, this is an ideal start to a matchup between ShowTime and Potential because both teams really want to win in speed, and so far they have 1 point each as we get ready to move on to track number 3, chosen by ShowTime in Forest Zigzag Timberland.
Tied 1-1, we begin round 3. Now the best time on Zigzag Timberland held by Guard, actually, who will be playing in our next team match. So we'll see if he can hold on to that record. But right now it looks like Best, he's doing whatever he can to set a new record himself.
Yeah, it's definitely looking that way. Once again, it's Ghost kind of being the loner up right now for ShowTime, as we see Monster and FaZe being stuck in that 7-8. That is going to be pretty devastating, and Summer does manage to win the line check against Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost tried to get a little bit aggressive. His cart angles a little bit too inwards, hit the wall there on the curve, and has to bump back a little bit, but he hasn't lost his entire lead yet. Flare now to support, but here's the thing, they're up against the entire team of Potential, and as you enter these hairpins, I mean, on lap 1, you don't want to get too aggressive. If you find an opening, great, but eventually you'll still be able to trade back and forth with the drafts.
Given that this is the track chosen by ShowTime, hopefully they're able to recover.
Yeah, Wave with a little bit of a hiccup there, bumping against both his opponents and the wall. He's going to lose a lot of speed, falls all the way down to 7th. He's trying to climb his way back. But right now, Wave is actually in prime position to sweep for the rest of his teammates.
Right now, we're seeing 1, 2, 3 now being held by Potential. Flare, he's quite far behind. He wants to be checking Temin right now, but they're way too far ahead with Summer in that first place spot. It just feels like Potential is winning the 4v4.
Yeah, and I love the way Wave is playing this, right? He doesn't try to sweep everyone one by one, but he's doing what he can so he doesn't decrease his speed too much, even if he has to drift a little bit further wider, because then he knows on the boost he can come back up and disrupt the rest of ShowTime.
Yeah, and I really like the play from Best there. He's been finding a lot of great blocks so far. Flare, he does manage to finally pass by and is looking a lot closer now. Flare trying to knock Best into the wall.
Yeah, and like you said, Peter, this is the best we've seen ShowTime, right? Ghost no longer on an island on his own. Flare here to support him once again. However, it's not enough points just yet. They have to overtake at least one of their opponents. And in fact, it's going to be the reverse. Best actually shoots all the way forward. Summer now in position to block for his teammate.
Oh, Ghost!
He thought he had an opening, but he's gonna hit the wall. Summer just teasing him with that, baiting in the aggression from his opponent. Again!
Too.
Wow, what a play from Summer, forcing these mistakes out of his opponents, and now it's just the 1, 2, 3, 4 here for Potential. Looks like they should be able to hold on to that as well.
The pressure was too much there for ShowTime. They had to greed a little bit because they were worried about the distance that Potential was building in that first place spot. But that is exactly what became their death sentence, because all their players in that top 4 spot, they got sent down to 7-8, and at that point, it might be game over.
Yeah, but this is where you can start to see just how hard it is to really play at this level of Kart Rider Drift, right? Is if you see that opening, you know you have to take it. And if you hit the boost at the right time, if you hit the draft at the right time and you're able to calculate it, you'll find these miraculous openings. However, this time it was Summer who baits them into thinking the opening is there, but he immediately angles his drift in a way where he's not going to get pushed out, but actually bumped forward, and his opponent's bumped back. I mean, great defense from Summer.
I love your choice of word there, William, saying bait. I feel like when you're so good at a game, that's when you start being at the level where you can try to mind play them. Because it's hard to even focus on your own lines and play perfectly, but for these players, you know, it's kind of like their instinct.
Yeah, that fan's hoping for potential to go to the ace match every match here in the round robin. I don't know if that's exactly what you want. Maybe you just want them to win without going to the ace match now and then. But for now, it looks like that may very well hold true. Of course, they've had an ace match every time so far, and we will find out if it goes there as we go into the next round on Extreme Stadium.
Team Potential is leading 2-1, and this is their track of choice, so if they're able to close it out on this one, they're going to be extremely happy.
Yeah, now so far, one of the better starts that ShowTime has had, but eventually it's Ghost and Flare this time falling all the way behind. I mean, they just could not break away from the cluster in the very beginning. And they're doing what they can to try to defend, but this has actually made an opening for Best, right? They were so concerned with Summer. So Best coming back forward, holding onto that first spot, and Temin once again here to provide support from the back line.
I feel like we've seen this so many times where Best and Summer are kind of like that 1-2 punch duo, and Temin, he just comes up there and he switches the sweeper whenever he feels like, and it's been doing great so far. 1-3-4 for Potential. This is a phenomenal start.
Yeah, I mean, excellent positioning, of course, as we go through. Oh, okay, a little bit of a mishap there, trying to block against Monster as well.
Yeah.
As Summer loses a lot of speed. I mean, he should be able to catch back up. Obviously, just the first lap so far, and everyone is losing a little bit of speed in the hairpins, but hopefully that doesn't happen in lap 2. too.
The fact that Summer took that set behind, but he's still in 5th place is really concerning to me, as our observers are really focusing on Ghost being in 8th place right now. I feel like that's a big strategy on ShowTime's side being kind of lost.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost has again been that speed ace for them, and very reliably so, but so far, it's 4 of the members, all members of Potential rather, in the top 5. Now Wave's just bouncing back and forth, but this is his position. He's been that sweeper. Look at the way he positions his cart in a way where he's not going to fall behind. He's always going to be bumped forward.
Yeah, he exactly utilized that, getting bumped forward by Ghost there. Now Ghost looking for a body check of his own. They're able to pass now, but it's still 1-3-4 for Potential. Monster is up here alone. He's trying to slow down Temin however he can.
Yeah, he's doing what he can to try to gain space for his teammates. He knows that's the only opening they have. Oh, he tries to go for the knockout. Is not going to be entirely successful, and Potential will be able to finish Speed Mode with the 22 points on Extreme Stadium and a 3-1 round score.
That is what I call a dominating victory right there. Blue-red, blue-red. It means every single member on Potential played their role and pretty much was able to outclass their opponents in ShowTime.
Yeah, I love the attempt from Monster, right? I love the attempt to just go for the KO on that last jump. You know, he just tries to knock people out as much as possible. He sees that they're all clumped up right behind him. And it was honestly the only win condition he had left as they got to the last jump. However, not able to find the right angle and speed to do so. And eventually, Potential, all of their members will cross the finish line safely.
Yeah, and this is a pretty fantastic start for Potential here, because in the preliminaries when they previously faced, they did get 3-1 by ShowTime, so they now return that favor, giving them a taste of their own medicine, as now we see our Speed Ace coming in, Thrawn coming in and taking out Ghost. You have to wonder, who is the better item team? Because both teams have shown some promise, at least in this mode.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, Potential seems to be kind of riding the momentum a bit stronger here for item mode. But we'll see. I mean, ShowTime, they haven't been anything to laugh at here in item mode. And again, the meta's changed a little bit since the qualifiers. So while they did beat Potential quite handily during the qualifiers, we've had a little bit of a patch after that. And people are still trying to figure out their own color. More options here in item mode in Preseason 2.
Yeah, as we take a look at the item track list, Potential, they do have that first pick on Forest Mushroom Caves, followed by Polar Half-Pipe and Clock Tower Crossing. Definitely some standard tracks that we've seen a lot in Preseason 2. Whereas ShowTime, they went for Desert Pharaoh's Pass and London Knight, also 2 really popular tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, London Knight's definitely been a pretty strong regular since Preseason 1. So in terms of maps, nothing too crazy. Obviously, Clock Tower Crossing has kind of been in and out as teams try to figure out if they want to play on it or not as it entered the pool here for Preseason 2. But the rest have been pretty strong regulars here for this preseason.
You know, I see a lot of teams saying that Clock Tower Crossing is where you want to build a early lead potentially, but I always see that, you know, getting tackled out because of items like missiles and water wisps. I feel like it's really hard to maintain a solid lead in this current meta.
Yeah, I mean, also just everyone has their own interpretation still, right? There is no kind of go-to meta just yet in Preseason 2. Who will be the team to determine that as we go into round number 1 on Forest Mushroom Caves? Item mode begins. Potential looking for their first win and avoiding their first ace match as well.
Yeah, of course, this is going to be a 2-lapper track, so it's going to be a bit faster pace as we see the water wisps being exchanged right now. The water bomb is going to catch Flare off guard as well. Not a lot of items that are worth holding so far.
Yeah, everyone just kind of cycling through their single target attacks. Immediately, the water balloon's starting to get held onto just a bit because this track, there are quite a few locations where you could use that wisely. You still have another spot left on your item inventory, so they're saving those bombs, water bombs, for later.
But now we're seeing finally Banana picking up a double shield as he's going to be able to dodge out of that water wisp. And you saw a water bomb catching out like 2 players it seemed there, but this is still lap number 1, so it's not too devastating yet.
Yeah, and we've got UFOs on both sides. Now ShowTime cycles through theirs right away, but Potential looks like they want to actually hold on to double UFO. Surely you cycle 1 out, but here's the thing, is that now we do see that EMP in the hand of Monster. He's definitely going to be holding on to that.
Oh, he used it, and the UFOs also get swapped out as well. It seems like in the second lap, a lot more priority is being placed right now on FaZe with the double lightning. That's really scary to me, William.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the go-to kind of win condition if you can ever land it. So
Make that a 3.
Oh, yeah, FaZe is definitely on that. Here's the thing, no Angels on the side of Potential. So while Banana has double shields, FaZe, if he can just make sure that he contests against Banana, if they can just get one more missile, something else to draw out that shield. They already drew out one.
Yeah, Banana didn't get the best item there. He picked up a Water Wisp, but now he's going to be able to propel forward. He still has that shield. A EMP wave, I think, is pretty nice for being in the top spot.
Yeah, we'll see if it's going to come in handy. The shield already being cycled through. Still 3 lightnings saved up on the side of ShowTime. They're going to have to time it correctly, though, so they can continue to lock up the entire team of Potential. They are not getting out of the track at all. The UFO comes through with the EMP, but Flare not affected. Will cross the finish line first.
The power of Lord Zeus there with his triple lightning bolt was not able to be blocked out by Potential there in time. It bought enough time for Flare to come in first, and I think that is one of our, I would say, more standard strategies, but it's so effective.
Yeah, I mean, that the only reason it's not the go-to meta is because you can't always rely on having, 2, let alone 3 lightning bolts, obviously. But when you can get it and you're not seeing the Angels on the opponent teams, then, I mean, by all means, it's really just a matter of timing, right? And making sure, do we have someone else that if someone draws the aggro for things like the missiles or the UFOs, do we have someone else who can still cross the finish line first? Absolutely was set up here for ShowTime.
Yeah, I mean, like, we saw Banana try so hard to pick up items, but he was only able to pick up the shields, and what can 2 shields do to 3 lightnings, right? That's the maximum shield you can pick up.
Yeah, I mean, he even tried to cycle through as he was blocking one of them, like you said, to get a different item, maybe, set up one of his teammates for a better finish, but just look at this, the double lightnings right away, another one used, and they're all locked up. And while we do see the UFO being EMP'd eventually, Flare was the one not affected. He was still there, just kind of cruising through across the finish line.
Yeah, and I think it was also important to mention that Potential, they tried to go for a Magnet outplay there, but it did get caught off by the lightning, so it was pretty devastating, I must say, for Potential on this track number 1, given that it was chosen by them themselves. But Potential is the team that's won every single item mode so far, so they definitely could do a reverse sweep even if they lose the next one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's far from over, right? In worst case, they still won the speed mode, so they can go to their trusty ace match. While they haven't gotten an ace match victory yet, they've always had to go to the ace match. We'll see if maybe today they finally get their first ace match victory, let alone just a match victory.
Yeah, and if we do go to that ace match, it'll be exciting to see if Summer, he will still be the representative for Potential as he's been for the past 3 ace matches, because I've seen the voice comms of Potential, and a lot of their players actually seem pretty down to do the ace match. And the pressure for them really didn't seem to be existent. They just want to go out there and perform for their team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, especially if you're in a position, like teams like ShowTime and Potential, you got to just take whatever opportunities you have to showcase yourself, right? I mean, you are technically the teams with nothing to lose, right? If you get any higher placings above 8th, 7th place in the overall team leaderboard, then great. But if not, I mean, yes, the cards are stacked against you from the get-go because you're going up against these pro teams that have the infrastructure, that have these rosters that have been together for a long time. It's not going to be an easy matchup. So it's great to see that the players on both sides seem to really just be taking things one at a time.
That's exactly the key right there, Will. I must say, all the Potential and ShowTime, they haven't been able to pick up a win yet in Preseason 2. I'm sure they picked up a lot of new fans as they played because the level of confidence they displayed in their driving abilities, that alone I feel like really set them apart from a lot of the rookie teams that we've seen previously.
Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see if Potential, can they try to get the lead back here or not.
Right.
Gonna look at Fran on stage here. Of course, the item ace here for ShowTime. His teammate tried to steal a little bit of camera time himself up on the stage. Sorting things out right now before we go into the next round.
Yeah, as soon as we get any word from our producers, we'll let you guys know. It seems like the teams just want some time to get adjusted to their matches here and make sure that, once we go into that second round of item mode, everything will go swimmingly.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait for any updates for the time being. Of course, if you're just tuning in, we are currently in the item mode in our first team match between ShowTime and Potential. We had Potential win the speed mode 3-1, so if they can win the item mode, they will be taking their first victory in a 2-0 fashion. However, item mode currently being led by ShowTime 1-0.
It seems we got some time here, so let me ask you a question, Will. Do you think we will go to an ace match?
I mean, listen, I almost want to say, for the sake of Summer, I hope not, right?
Oh, yeah? You lost faith in him?
No, I just think that's so much pressure for one guy, right? Like, I would not want to be in that position myself if I had to just be like, well, okay, here we go again. Like, I haven't won the last 3. I probably that's not the attitude he has, and that's probably the difference between why some of these players are on stage and I'm not. But, you know, I think that would be rough. But at the same time, obviously, you know, for ShowTime, they would want to push it that way. Here's the thing, is that either of these teams, I think they want their first win to kind of be clean, right? If you're kind of relying on the ace match while it's relieving, it's like, okay, well, even against another amateur team, we had to go all the way to the very end. That's so rough. And Potential, they just won the speed mode. Both these teams have shown their bright spots in the item mode. So in their heads, they're like, well, we should have this in the bag. We won the speed mode.
Yeah, but it's funny to me that you said how it must be like a lot of pressure for Summer to try to go for that ace match again, because I feel like you have to give this guy some credit in the sense that his 3 opponents so far were World, NEAL, and DDING, which are players that have been shining pretty brightly in Preseason 2 so far, and going against an amateur team like ShowTime, where you're likely to go against an opponent who's not super experienced in ace matches as those 3 previous players were, I do feel like Summer might take this as a potential redemption chance.
That's the way you absolutely should do it, right? I mean, if you're a player up on stage. And it looks like we just had to do a little bit of reviewing here as we take a look at the replay.
Temin, he crashed into the wall there with Braun, and he's... doesn't seem like...
I think that's probably the moment that we've been reviewing here. But we'll have to wait for the official word as we see the refs and staff here now looking like they're going to deliver a message to the players on stage. So just hang tight with us. We are also waiting on official updates.
It seemed to me like Temin, he crashed the wall there, and from my perspective, that's all I really caught. Did you see anything different there, Will?
Well, I think it was just about the timing with the items and whatnot, and the movement, and maybe, you know, it seemed a little different from your angle as a player, so it looks like that's what they're confirming here with the players themselves, the refs confirming what they're seeing and seeing if everyone can come to an agreement. So, well, Franz put it on his headset again after that review, so hopefully we get an update and we will be moving on to the next round, but we'll hang tight for just another second here.
Yeah, I feel like item mode definitely has gone through some changes, Will, coming into Preseason 2. And I guess these are just one of the changes that comes with it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, right? I mean, this is also why we have these preseason, is to really make sure things are the way that everyone's on the same page, that things are flowing the way that we expect them to.
So I kind of see what they're checking there, because as he was grabbing the items there, the angle that he hit the wall in, that must be the point of debate.
Yeah, I think so. It seems like that was the final conclusion, but it also does seem like, now that everyone's putting on their headsets, that there isn't anything for concern at the end, just something for review.
Okay, and we're seeing that all players are coming to an agreement that it wasn't a reverse drive.
Yeah, so basically, obviously, the reverse drive, like trying to turn around to go back on the track to get items and things like that. Per the rules, it's not allowed. And I think there was maybe just, you know, in the middle of the race, because of how he was bouncing off the wall, there was a question of, well, is that what just happened? And everyone has come to an agreement that that is not what happened.
Oh,
so now we will be moving on to round 2. I mean, listen, you've been waiting for a little bit. Let's get on to the next round. I'm all for that. This is round 2 in item mode as we go into Desert Pharaoh's Pass, which is ShowTime's choice.
Begin our item round number 2. Previously it was ShowTime taking that round number 1, looking to solidify their lead here as we take a look at the items. Players are able to dodge out the barricades with ease.
Yeah, and of course a 3-lapper, so quite a bit more to work with. And in some ways, that does mean trying to really figure out your timings and cycling through as you're going up against the new item boxes. There's a lot of opportunities to get items here. Banana actually getting denied entirely as ShowTime just cuts right in front of him. This is already just in lap 1.
Yeah, I like the plays that I'm seeing too right now, Will, from ShowTime. As we see Summer, he spins out of control there from that missile, and now ShowTime is able to find a pretty nice lead in team position overall. Temin, he does have the magnet and boost combo.
Yep, the barricades just doing a little bit of work, and also some players just trying to clear it as we are only in lap 2. Obviously, you don't want those sitting around and disrupting maybe the rest of your teammates. You just want everyone to be able to kind of group up, right? Because in item mode, eventually you'll have a little bit of catch-up mechanics coming through. You know, not everyone's building up boosts and constantly staying ahead. And so both teams just trying to say, okay, just kind of gauge out where is the opponent, what items do we have, what's the inventory as we get near the end of lap 2.
Right now we're seeing Monster. He does have only a shield in his belt. He does manage to pick up a banana and a water bomb, but that's not what they wanted. And of course now, with the players taking the underground path, Banana in front, they're going to have a nice little lead for themselves. That 2-3 flank coming up from ShowTime.
Yeah, and Banana will be able to continue to cruise forward. Now he's got a magnet and an EMP. He cycles through the EMP and he gets another one right away, it looks like. And he's going to get targeted by so many things, but he's somewhat okay with that, right? He's got that magnet where he can still be that wild card at the end of lap 3.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Monster, he does have a lightning right now. Well, there's no angel on the side of potential, so we could see another huge lightning usage coming in, but there is a shield individually for Wave and Summer.
Oh, and I love the positioning here from Potential, right? You've got one boost on Summer, you've got double boost on Taman, and you've still got the double shields on Wave as well. So even after just White Lightning, you do have mechanics to try to catch back up. Wave uses the shield, but that's just draw aggro. Meanwhile, Frog gets caught by the lightning and the water bomb, but it's not enough to stop him in his tracks just yet. Everyone had already burned through all of their items, and it's going to be ShowTime taking yet another round.
Braun didn't even need to use his magnet there because frankly there was no target for him to select, and Flair, he did have a magnet of his own. He just used it on his teammate there to catch up, and it was a clean 1-2 finish. So it really went swimmingly for ShowTime. It feels like Potential, they didn't really have an answer to the strategy coming out of their opponents.
Yeah, I wasn't able to take a look at the entire mini-map there in the last section, but it almost feels like maybe the lightning was just hit at the right time where it really negates the boost if they're not able to get it off the jump, right, and try to catch up. And a couple of those other attacks all piling in the last corner, and ShowTime, you know, they seem like they knew that's exactly how I wanted to play out. They seemed so confident when you were looking at their camera here towards the end that they knew that they had those backup plans to cross the finish line, currently leading 2-0 in item mode.
Team Potential, it's time to execute plan reverse sweep, because this might be their first loss in item set if they lose here against ShowTime. Hopefully they're able to find a way to answer back against a 2-0 domination from ShowTime here in track number 3, Glacier Polar Halfpipe.
We begin round 3, and we are staring down the barrel of another ace match if Potential is not able to begin the comeback. Of course, Potential won the speed mode earlier, and ShowTime already striking back hard and fast here in item mode.
Yeah, and we love seeing those water bombs being utilized in this Glacier Polar Halfpipe because we frequently mention how hard it is to dodge those because, frankly, you just don't have the room to dodge them.
Yeah, I mean, especially the timing off the jump as well. There's a lot to consider, and there we go again. Right as they were about to cross the items, they do pick it up right before they get hit by the water bombs and not disrupting that part too much.
Yeah, and Banana, he actually almost got completely thrown out of line there, but he was able to recover just nicely. Now, Flair, he's going to get spinned out of control there, but it's no problem because he does have a magnet if he does fall behind.
Yeah, and Flair just trying to block off Banana a little bit. Banana will slow down so he can continue to secure his own items. We are entering lap 2 out of 3. as we continue to see Wave shooting forward alongside Flare in the first and second position.
Yeah, in fact, we can't even see where Wave is right now, but now we will start to see as he gets tackled down by double UFO there, but he's still maintaining that first place.
Oh, and yeah, it looks like everyone got caught up in a little traffic jam right in front of the jump here, which actually continues to give that lead to Wave. He does have double shield, and it looks like he's going to save that up for the time being, as we're not seeing too many attacks being shored up here on the side of ShowTime. Now, as you see that arsenal grow, Wave will have to start to cycle through it as we see now. He regains another second shield.
I feel like the fact that Banana is holding on to an Angel is super huge right now for Potential, because every time in lap number 3, it feels like Potential was lacking that item against the offense coming out of ShowTime, but this time they'll be able to protect Wave a bit better.
Yeah, and they have double Angel now, in fact, as well, alongside Summer, which is allowing Wave to start to cycle through his items a bit more aggressively to see if he can find another thing to overtake FaZe. Now, FaZe has overtaken him in the first place. Wave, what is he going to get? It's just going to be an EMP.
Yeah, not the most ideal item there. FaZe, he's going to fall behind, but he's holding on to an EMP as well as a Magnet. It could be really big if he's able to tackle that onto Wave, who's only having a shield, no EMP.
Yeah, but the UFO comes through. Oh, an EMP from his teammates will be able to save him, and the Angel, it's going to deny that, and the UFO is just a bit too late as Potential crosses the finish line, and Wave will bring home a round here in the item mode for Potential.
Like you said, the defensive item usage coming out from Wave as well as from his teammates was absolutely pivotal there, because we saw ShowTime pretty much synchronizing all their attacks on Wave, but they weren't able to slow him down enough to try to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wave just playing that position so well, and I love the fact that he starts to cycle through those shields a bit more aggressively once his teammates had the Angels, and boy, were those Angels handy in that final section of that track. So, getting an item mode win on their selection in round 3, now bringing it back up to 1-2 scoreline.
Plan reverse sweep, it's happening.
Well, I mean, at the start of it, right, the first step is crouch, but there's 2 more big steps that they'll need to take.
They say that the first step is always the most important one.
It is the most important, because if it doesn't happen, then there's no chance at all. You're not wrong on that front, but there's still a decent ways to go. Now, of course, round 4, it is going to be ShowTime selection of World Tour London Night. We'll be getting that one ready for you here in a second.
And if Potential is able to win on their opponent's track choice, that could build up a lot of momentum, you know, the mental damage coming in ShowTime, feeling like, oh no, we have only 1 round left, but it's chosen by Potential. What do we do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the pressure can start to build up here, and this was the traffic jam we saw that allowed
that makes sense now.
Yeah, Wave to have that huge lead. I mean, everybody getting hit by that water bomb. What a shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the proper term here is for something that explodes bigger than a bomb, but that definitely wasn't your typical grenade.
Yeah, I mean, that water bomb definitely landed on the entire track. All the racers getting caught up in that one, and that is kind of how the lead continued to stay pretty safe for Wave and Potential all the way through lap number 3.
Yeah, not just Wave there, as you said. A lot of his teammates being ready for the backup defensive items. I love seeing that team synergy coming out, and I made that pose earlier.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just saying, all right, well, what's going on here? Just trying to wait and see. Obviously, the player is trying to also figure out what is up next. Looks like we have another small review to be done here.
He took a bit of a diagonal line there.
Yeah, so another bit of a bounce back and forth. Now, it does look like Summer. Obviously, he was also in the middle of getting ping-ponged back and forth between, you know, a couple of the attacks and the track itself. But we'll have to wait for the official ruling here.
Yep, and our players here, at least they are not put down by any situation so far. Their mental fortitude, it must be stronger than iron.
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely, right? You gotta stay focused for the whole thing. Up front also expressing a little bit of his impatience here, trying to move forward. Looks like another segment that we'll have to showcase for review here. Still on the POV of Summer. Now, obviously, one of the reasons we show this all to you guys live as well is for transparency. And it does look like, I'm not quite sure if it's the, no, I think this is just the preceding moments from the previous clip. Yeah, he's going to get hit by the barricade, bounces off the wall, and then he'll barely angle himself for the items there. But because that's on a curve, looks like everyone just wants to try to review that a bit more carefully here.
Previously, it was determined by player vote, so I'm sure that we might have something similar happen again here. And you know, as a viewer, we're curious what you think on that. So let us know. Is that a reverse, or was it just a little diagonal turn?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you know, we do have the refs here in the stadium as well, and they will oftentimes make the rulings, but you'll oftentimes have an opportunity here to contest, as it often is in a lot of different competition, and for transparency going through the reviews all together. But it does look like everyone's getting their headsets back on and steady, so we'll see if we'll be going into the next round here soon. Apologize for the delay, but thank you for being patient. We are currently in the middle of item mode between ShowTime and Potential. But we did have Potential actually win the speed mode 3-1, but ShowTime leading item mode 2-1, trying to bring this to an ace match.
And as I said earlier, when it comes to item mode, you can never let your guard down around Potential because their team name speaks for itself. As long as they take that first step, they're ready for the third one.
Yeah, oh, I thought we were rewatching the water bomb fiasco from earlier, but it does look like, I think we're looking at the same timing from a different point of view here. All right, so just reviewing some further player movements. Does look like the same timing.
Yeah, right now we're just making sure that the plays here by Timmin were all according to rules. And my goodness, the fire punch coming out from ShowTime every time we get a little bit of a camera shot of them. It's intimidating me.
Well, it is a little variation from just covering the camera. You know what? I'm fine with a little bit of variation, although you know, sometimes you do want to watch out. Listen, lenses are harder than you think, right? So if you don't gauge that distance well, and you actually end up punching the camera, it's probably your fist that's gonna hurt. So you do want to watch out for that. I mean, your fists are very important when you are a player of Kart Rider Drift.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like a lot of gamers are spending their time, you know, strengthening their fists, doing a lot of workout. But some of them do have already some exercise on that based on the fact when they get mad at a game. There are some gamers that like to punch a wall. I'm not that kind of gamer myself.
Whoa, yeah, no, we don't want it. No, we don't want any of those gamers, all right? All right, we want calm and collected gamers. It's okay to get heated. It's okay to get passionate, but guess what? The most important thing is we are going to continue gaming here at the KDL, getting ready for round 4, which is World Tour London Night.
We start the race with ShowTime in the lead, 2-1. This is match point for them. As we see Flair, he picks up a magnet and a booster combo, which is good for catching up.
Yeah, and should be just cycling through that pretty early on. London Night, definitely not a track where everyone's saving things from the get-go. You kind of try to cycle through. Now, London Night's an interesting one, right? A couple good options for the finish. Obviously, if you have, you know, things like the lightning bolts, etc., you can try to go for chain attacks. But this is one of those tracks where the magnet boost or double boost can still provide a lot of utility to try to overtake first place in the last second.
Yeah, we can see Summer getting slowed down there by the magnet, and we see Flair taking a pretty nice lead for himself. Monster just gets set behind by the water bomb, but it doesn't matter too much so far. Banana holding on to that lightning along with Timmin.
Yeah, Flair's just collecting EMPs left and right. We'll have to cycle through those here on the next section, see if we can try to get an item. Now, he did get hit by the water wisp, but surely he slows down a bit to try to cycle through, and he's able to refresh his items here for lap 2.
And so far, we're seeing Timmin and Banana absolutely holding on to their lightnings, as well as the water bomb holding coming in from Banana. I'm a little bit curious on that one. He does manage to throw it out there, and he wasn't able to catch out Timmin. I mean, that's his teammate, so he shouldn't.
Yeah, Timmin just going to get slowed down just a little bit here. Now, still back and forth here on lap 2, but like you mentioned, the lightnings are being held now on both sides, but ShowTime does have an Angel. So there is a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors situation here between the two teams on their inventory.
Yep, and right now we have Monster sitting out there with 2 really nice defensive items. He does cycle through the EMP, and now the UFO is going to catch on to him. The shield not really effective against that. It's going to kill all momentum for Monster.
Oh, and Wave does have the double boost. Now, here's the thing is that still one lightning bolt on the side of ShowTime as well. Potential realizes their lightnings are not going to be as efficient against these shields and Angels, so they have to try to bait that out. The Angel is baited out so far. It's used already.
Yeah, that was a nice usage monster there. He's able to dodge out on the Ferris wheel, not getting taken out of the momentum.
Oh, but the magnet coming in from Banana, and he's going to be able to swing right across the finish line. And what did I tell you? I mean, this is one of those tracks where you can really catch someone off guard with the magnet still because of the way that you go around that last corner into the finish line.
Yeah, that water bomb as well as the magnet from Banana there, it all really came down in a nice synergized way, and that was the victory condition for Potential in round number 4 here, and they did it. Well, I'm telling you, 2-2 on the board. Now, if they win one more, that's reverse sweep.
Yeah, and they will be able to get a clean victory right in both speed and item mode against their opponent ShowTime. We'll see if Potential can make it happen. So far, the determination is starting to really shine through for this squad. They have been winning their item mode so far. We'll see if they can continue it here today against ShowTime.
Well, the last track here is Village Clock Tower Crossing, so I feel like it could go either way so far as we take a look at the replay here. This is the moment where Banana, he was waiting for his opportunity. The magnet comes out onto Monster, as well as some water bomb.
Yeah, the chaining of both the magnet and the water bomb. And here's the thing, is that as he shoots forward, even if he gets hit by something else by drawing aggro, you had Wave who had that boost saved up. So after the lightning bolt ended, Wave was also able to boost, so he got second place. So even if Banana had drawn aggro, Wave would have then overtaken him back again and gotten the first place here for Potential.
But it's nicer that Banana got the clutch play there because it just makes it look like such a sick play.
Yeah, well
calculated.
How he synergized
it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. The magnet into, putting him into that position of the water bomb, right? I mean, that just shows why he's the item ace, just the familiarity that he has with the items, their timing, the distance that he's able to showcase and bring them back to this 2-2 tie in item mode against ShowTime.
Yeah, Potential is looking really good right now. It seems like they got their focus back so far, especially in Banana. I wonder what more plays he's going to bring us. One thing I'm sad about is that we haven't had a Banana meta yet in KDL. And I feel like when that comes, holy cow, Potential, they might be the rank 1 team.
I feel like that's going to be so hard for it to happen, though. Just the timing and positioning that you need for Bananas to become, like, meta and reliable that would be pretty insane. Listen, if anyone can make that happen, I mean, I would love to see it because that seems like possibly the most difficult thing to do here in item mode for Kart Rider Drift.
What if you buff it? You place 5 Bananas on the ground, all lined up to each other. That might be pretty good.
What if you were able to collect 2 bananas and then combine them into one giant banana?
Oh.
Right? And then instead of slipping, you actually just end up climbing the banana mountain. And
yeah.
It's just like an entire new track.
Yeah, you're just slowed down.
Yeah, now we're just playing a completely different game. It's actually not Kart Rider anymore.
Banana portal into 3rd dimension. That's the next level KDL we're hoping to see.
Obviously, we've had some crazy changes to the item mode coming into Preseason 2. Of course, if you're continuing to play in the live server, you've been playing with those patches as well, right? The drop rate changes and the effectiveness of some of these items, like the EMP. Now it can get rid of the magnet. The Angel only blocks off one item, or one attack rather. Things like that have really shaken things up, right? There's no one fixed meta. And also, we're seeing a lot more teams kind of say, well, maybe there is a way to go on the offensive to try to win rather than trying to just get the defensive with the boosts.
That is exactly what we've seen so far, and I love how you mentioned the buff coming into the EMP wave because that item felt so bad to use in the sense that it was effective only against UFO, which in itself was a bit of an iffy item in Preseason 1. And now in Preseason 2, it being more prevalent as well as EMP being able to block out the magnet. Now there's actually more, I would say, purpose in holding on to that EMP and waiting for your opponents to pick up a magnet and UFO, whereas previously in Season 1, if you did that, you're kind of trolling because you're wasting a lot of new potential items you could have picked up.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? Especially because, like you said, it only blocked the UFO, and the UFO drop rate was not high. But now, like you mentioned, it can block magnets, and the UFOs are becoming much more frequent. I mean, we've seen races end because of the UFO, things like that. So EMP, especially going to lap 3, there is some value, especially as a support item. We'll see if that meta continues to develop. Just waiting for an official update here, but it does look like another bit of a review here on the side, or maybe just something that needs to be worked out, as we do see Fran doesn't have his headset on, and he is waiting for the staff of KDL.
Yep. So far, we are just making sure that our item mode is going to go through swimmingly, and we might as well use this time to talk a bit about Village Clock Tower Crossing. Will, I like that you mentioned earlier how each team has kind of their own take on it. My personal take on it has been that it's a track where you want to get ahead, but it's really hard to because of the way the stages are built, in a sense that you want to try to like boost off the clock tower, but if you get caught off by a missile there, you're kind of done for. So I wonder, what is the take right now? What's the best strategy?
Well, I mean, I think it's really just about if you can get that early lead, right? And if you have a couple of your teammates, and for those who aren't quite sure, if you haven't been really following the top level here of item mode and why people are saying this, is because of the layout of this track, right? There is a shortcut after you land off of the clock tower, where if you take the shortcut, right as you come out of it, it's the finish line, right? There isn't much of, and it's a very narrow shortcut. So that way, even if you're in first place, even if you get hit by attacks, chances are you're able to body block your opponents, and they don't have that much room to try to boost or magnet around you as you come out of the shortcut. There's not as much room compared to something like World Tour London Night. Now, we have seen that get negated in a couple of the past races, but it's so rare. And I think, like you mentioned, obviously timing off those jumps, things like that, there are ways to counteract someone who's trying to keep the lead. But if you're able to get the lead, and not just one person, but if you have like 2 or 3 people in the podium finishes or in the top 4, you know, one of you guys still has a couple of shields, maybe one of your teammates picks up an angel, and at that point you can say, okay, just constantly block off all the attacks. I think that's the thing, is that if you have defensive items, this is a track where maybe you want to use those early and often instead of saving it, you know, all the way just for the final attack. Because here's the thing, if you let the opponents get first place going into lap 3, suddenly you're like, okay, well, the shield like doesn't matter, because even if I don't get attacked, or even if I'm able to block the attacks, I don't have much room to work with to overtake my opponents.
Yeah, I love the fact that you mentioned something like blocking being really prevalent in a track like Clock Tower Crossing, because blocking is a really important skill to have in Kart Rider Drift, and we see that being reflected in speed mode, where teams have usually at least one player completely specializing in that sweeper position, whereas for item mode, we don't see players having the luxury to kind of be body blocking each other due to all the variance that comes in with the items in itself. But in certain tracks where there's really narrow paths, it is really possible to start using that body blocking technique as your strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, you know what? If you're waiting for this next round and you're not quite sure what we're seeing, the best way to check it out is to log into the game right now, boot up Village Clock Tower Crossing, and see what we mean about that little shortcut going into the finish line. Of course, or you can even just kind of look at the mini-map layout of the track and you'll see exactly what we mean. But yeah, I love that we have a couple of these tracks that have re-entered the pool here for Pre-Season 2, or, you know, newly been entered on top of the item changes. It has definitely made item mode a lot more varied for Pre-Season 2, and I can only hope that this kind of development continues for the game, where it's keeping it fresh season after season. And I know that's, you know, from a pro player's perspective, sometimes you're like, oh man, like I gotta learn another new meta. I know it can be tough, but hey, you got to keep it fresh somehow, and that's how you got to keep each other on your toes.
Yeah, I like what you said there. You know, there's 2 different main modes right now in Kart Rider Drift. That is the most popular, which is speed mode and item mode. And the whole purpose in speed mode, if you play it at home, is basically to be the first place. You just want to keep being in the lead and feel good about your perfect lines. Whereas the purpose of item, it feels more like you're looking for really clutch plays. You don't necessarily need to stay in the front all the time. On the go, depending on whatever items you pick up, you can start to really formulate a strategy off that. For instance, maybe you pick up a magnet, so you're like, okay, I got a shield right now, but I don't need to use it here. I don't need to waste my only defensive item just to stay in the lead, because the magnet will be able to buy me that time later.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a very interesting thing, and I love that we have these item aces, right, who are just kind of given that role to really break down the item meta, figure it out, do the calling for your teammates in item mode, and things like that. And of course, obviously, you guys can see on your screen that the discussions are still happening on stage, and so we will be awaiting the conclusion of that and an official update.
Yep. And so far, I must say, it was definitely a turnaround there for potential in round number 4 that we just played in World Tour London Night. How they were able to pick that win up despite ShowTime picking it themselves. And that's where, for me, a bit of that confusion lays. Why did ShowTime want to pick up London Night? Because I feel like this is a track that's so hard to nail in item mode, no matter how good you are as a team at it. That track in itself comes with the variance, given that you kind of want to boost off and go through the Ferris wheel if you want to have the best path. But as you do that, if you get targeted by a single offensive item, all momentum is gone. We've seen that happen previously in Preseason 2 as well, where a comeback was made off that play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, lots of different options, but the best way to check it out is, especially I think Preseason 2, if you're interested in item mode and kind of see what the potential is, no pun intended. Again, it's sometimes so tough with these teams that have regular words as their name, but if you want to kind of see what can be done with item mode, right? What are the options? What are teams doing? What could I maybe do and try with my friends or even on my own? What are some plays that I can make on my own? I mean, go back and check out the VOD, right? Especially in Preseason 2. We have so many different finishes that we've seen on different tracks. And different tracks obviously cater to different item advantages as well. But it does look like Fran is putting on his headset, so hopefully we just have to do a couple final checks and we'll be able to get into the next round.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty hyped match after all. We finally went down all the way to round 5 after speed mode being ended, we could say, relatively quickly by Potential taking a 3-1. And of course, if ShowTime is able to win on track number 5, we go to an ace match. If Potential wins, they have a clean record now.
Yeah, well, okay, it is going to be round 5 of item mode. Is it going to be an ace match or will it be a potential victory? You find out on the final track of item mode on Village Clock Tower Crossing. Final track of team mode for these two teams in today's match. If it goes ShowTime's way, we will see a 1v1 ace match, but if Potential finally closes it out with a reverse sweep, they will get their first victory here in the team match of Preseason 2.
And I love that we got so much time to talk about Clock Tower Crossing before we actually got into it, because now we could see what strategies the players are taking, and so far it really seems like Wave is trying to build that lead, as you mentioned, Will, and Summer just kind of being there also as the backup to try to take some attention off of Fran.
Yeah, and it does look like, Potential is doing a pretty good job of it so far, where they're able to still hold on to that lead. Oh, the banana that you wanted to see. I mean, this is a track where you could see that come into play.
Yeah.
Oh,
they dodge it! They're gamers, Will! How did they dodge that?
They are gaming on stage as we enter lap number 2 out of 3. But here's the thing, by dodging it, a lot of them have lost that speed, so Summer continue to stay up front. And Potential, they're providing so much support by constantly targeting whoever's trying to catch up to Summer. Flare gets hit by another missile again.
Yeah, I mean, Potential saying, you do not catch up to our brother, Summer. We're going to knock you down. Fran also spins out of control. Summer with a pretty sizable lead right now. He's able to dodge the barricade because he did get slowed down by the UFO there. And now it seems Fran is going to be able to catch up. But the water bomb!
The support is so strong for Potential, and now Wave just trying to body block him as well, back and forth. And it does look like we've got Angel Shields on the ready on the side of Potential as well. You can sense it. Potential sees the victory right in front of them. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They just say, if we protect Summer, he's going to get through. He even's got an EMP now.
Yeah, Monster is so far away right now. He does have a missile. He's able to get it off on Summer. He spins out of control. Now Summer's in vision once again. Monster with double Water Wisp.
Uh-oh, that's going to buy a lot of time. And the UFO now. The EMP not able to come out in time as the Water Wisp will tie him up. Now Taemin trying to overtake again, but another UFO comes out. And he's going to bump into the clock tower, into the wall again. Now Wave just trying to do what he can. The UFO can he body block? No! Monster will overtake him, and ShowTime will be taking us to an ace match.
My goodness, Monster came out as the hero for ShowTime there, able to pass 2 players on that narrow corner. I can't believe he was able to pull that off, because we keep talking about how it's so narrow there and body checks are so prevalent, but Monster, he doesn't care about any of that. He finds the perfect line. Yeah,
I mean, you could tell that we saw Potential thinking, okay, even with Potential UFOs, if I just position myself around these boxes on the shortcut, I should be able to body block, and I've got a teammate behind me who can overtake. However, the UFO hits him right as he's trying to block right outside of the boxes, and he doesn't get the body block, and it's going to be Monster who just finds that corner right around, zips right through, and I mean, it goes both ways, right? If Monster doesn't get blocked, then he can also be the one who clogs up the shortcut and keep the lead. And so it is going to be ShowTime taking us to an ace match. And you know what this means? Potential has just been playing ace matches nonstop, Peter.
Yeah, Potential definitely loves their ace matches. And as we mentioned earlier, this is a potential redemption chance for Summer, but it could also be a new start for a new racer to take that ace match position. But I must also point out there that for ShowTime so far, I think it's pretty likely who our candidate's going to be. I have one player in mind.
For
Do you have the
ShowTime.
same player, Will?
For ShowTime?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you absolutely send Ghost out.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm thinking.
he is the go-to speed ace here for this team. Now, they have only had to play the one ace match so far where he was going up against Looting. Of course, he did not win that one. But it's been very clear that he has the potential to be a great racer, and it looks like they're discussing that right now on the side of ShowTime. Just trying to see if Ghost is up for the job. What does that little pat on the shoulder mean? Oh, we can't read into it too much. We'll have to wait for the update. We've been faked out by players before, right? We've had teams where like one player will put on the headset and then suddenly someone else is actually entering the ace match, things like that.
Yeah, even if you literally pass him the baton, even then you still don't know in KDL who's going to play in the ace match. Because after all, it is really exciting to see that one player step up to the plate and the team's really going through a discussion. And it's such a treat to see when players are able to capitalize that opportunity and set really high records like we've seen Jung do in Preseason 1 with ace matches.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, that's insane to see. But like we said, I mean, most likely the chances seem to favor Ghost entering the ace match here. However, on the side of potential, it has always been Summer so far, but he also hasn't found success. So do we have someone else who steps up to the plate? I mean, like you mentioned, Peter, it does always sound like most of them are up for the task. It's just a matter of who's really feeling the condition and, of course, the track for the ace match, which we will be finding out once both teams submit their final player. It is a 1v1. It comes down to this, and it's so important because both teams are starving for that first victory.
Yeah, I have a crazy idea right now, Will. How about we send Banana for the ace match?
Yeah, that is crazy. I'm just going to tell you right now, even on camera, he seemed like he was the one guy on that stage that had no interest in playing in the ace match right now. And this is nothing against Banana. I mean, he's entered the solo qualifiers before as well and into the early rounds. But here's the thing. I mean, he is clearly through and through an item ace. I mean, and that's what he has been spending all his time. And you can tell, right, the way he's playing. And you can tell that ShowTime was targeting that during the item mode as well. We actually, the observers caught so many moments where ShowTime just absolutely blocks him from getting these items in lap 2 or 3 and to just deny Banana the potential options that he can work with. And you can clearly see the impact that Banana has brought to the scene and for his team on potential.
Yeah, we love seeing players having such a high impact, not only in game, but also on stage. And I feel like Banana is definitely one of those players that's been able to solidify that so far, especially in these item modes. And right now, it seems like our teams are figuring out who is going to play in the ace match a bit more, because after all, this was a really important match, but it seems it's decided now, and we will be going to Factory Facility 5.
Yeah, tough one. An absolutely tough one. Love to see this in the 1v1. I mean, this is one of those tracks where for the majority of it, it's about who's not making mistakes. And it does look like it's going to be Ghost versus Summer, the go-to ace match racers here for both teams. Now Summer, can he finally escape the loss streak that he's had in the ace matches? And Ghost, while not as many, also trying to become the hero, the representative here for ShowTime that brings them their first victory in Preseason 2.
Team Potential has not given up on Summer, it seems. However, this could also be the last chance for Summer if you think about it, because after suffering a 3-loss streak in a row, if he gets a 4th loss here against Ghost, who is a player we have to say is relatively new to playing ace matches on stage, it is pretty concerning.
Yeah,
potential.
I mean, yeah, especially for Summer, just because, again, he's had so many more opportunities. Like you mentioned earlier, Peter, obviously it's always been against very, very respectable opponents in the likes of World, NEAL, and DDING, so nothing against Summer. However, you know, at the end of the day, it's just the records on paper that will be leaving this preseason. So Summer really wants that win, and so does Ghost, not just for himself, but for the team. We go to Factory Facility 5. One track, one lap to decide it all between ShowTime and Potential. And right as we kick things off, of course, a little bit of a wide area, so both racers taking strong advantage of that. Now Ghost, as he was behind, he's taking a little bit of these tighter corners to build up his draft and his boost to try to catch up to Summer.
Yeah, this is the important jump. We've seen a lot of players miss that jump, and that would be game over right there. But both players are able to make it. Now, Summer is still in the lead with Ghost behind. It seems Ghost is also behind the boost gauge, which is very concerning to me.
Yeah, and Summer, he's doing what he can to make sure that he maintains that speed while constantly being ahead of boost gauge. But Ghost, he actually catches Summer going for a little bit too many of the cuts on the curve, and he's trying to overtake him briefly. Now Summer will regain it thanks to the double boost.
Ghost!
Yeah, but the draft, it's coming through, and Ghost, he's constantly trying to buy and force for these errors, I think, because he has so many more opportunities if he can just stay in draft range, which he constantly is.
Yeah, I mean, I love that Ghost keeps trying to go for the best inners possible. Like this here, Ghost going for the gas lead lines. However, Summer is able to get the better one there, and it's Summer maintaining a lead coming into our final portions of the track.
No, but you can tell Summer, he's the one being shaken up right now. Ghost constantly forces him to try to block, and Summer's going way too wide on a lot of these cuts. Ghost just wants one opportunity. He tries to boost by, but Summer blocks him off one last time. The draft comes through. The boost. Ghost, can he find the inner line on the corner? Oh, he was afraid of hitting the corner. He has to decrease his speed just a tad bit, and that will give the lead to Summer. Finally redeeming himself in an ace match victory and bringing a W home for Potential.
We have to give props to the mentality of Summer, because as you mentioned, Will, this match was so important for him. The fact that he lost 3 for his team, it must affect his mentality, because he can't help but feel, if it wasn't me, or if I just played a bit better that day, we could have won. But this time, it's on the back of Summer that Potential pick up their first win of Preseason 2.
Man, and what a way to do it. I mean, just look at it. Ghost had 8 drafts. He was constantly looking for this chance to either overtake or force an error from Summer, and you could tell Summer was reacting to it a lot, and Ghost was starting to really sniff out that opening. But there were about 3 times where he absolutely aggressively tried to overtake him with a boost, and Summer, those were the times where he finally got the correct blocks and kept the lead. What a great race from both players.
Yeah, as we take a look at the result, it is ShowTime who lost to Potential there in speed 1-3, but then in item, they were able to win 3-2 in ShowTime. And for the ace match, we had Summer coming out against Ghost. It was Summer who won for his team Potential in a very intense ace match.
Yeah, and that will bring them their first win here in Preseason 2 for Potential. ShowTime still looking for that first W on the board as we pass the kind of halfway mark of the round-robin stage.
Yeah, and I must say, although Ghost lost today, I'm becoming a fan of Ghost, because we talk so much about the NEAL builds, but I feel like Ghost, he's a special player and he must have some Ghost builds, because the lines he takes, I love how he's always able to go through the corners in the most efficient ways, and he's been finding a lot of leads like that.
Yeah, and it also just seems like he very well understands that you want to play a mental game and not just a physical game, right? He's always trying to force these errors and then try to be one step ahead. Like we saw in that last corner, he correctly predicts that Summer is going to take the safe return on the corner with the boost and try to block him out, and he says, okay, well, I will lose speed if I cut close to the corner, but he's not going to expect that, so I'm going to try for it. However, he sees in the final moments that it's a little too close. He has to slow down to avoid the corner, and that's what gives Summer the absolute lead to close things out in the ace match.
Yeah, and then one really interesting to me is that Summer, this is a player that when we've seen him participate in the ace matches, it was usually off of his own mistake that he lost to his opponents. And he's made it again today, I would say, against Ghost. There were opportunities where he allowed Ghost to get the pass through, but the recovery today is what set him apart from the different days. He has a really strong mentality, and I feel like that's the main thing about this player that we can highlight moving forward.
I mean, here's the other thing is that with this much experience in ace matches now, right, against, 3 of the best players that we have previously, and now even against Ghost, I mean, this guy's getting a lot of reps in to build that mental, even for future ace matches and maybe even solos in the future.
Yeah, as you said it, there's no better way to build your mental than starting off 3-1, because if you set the bar low, you're usually going to get higher results than the initial low you set.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was just our first team match, ladies and gentlemen. The next one coming up is going to be Sensation versus Seraphic. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, it's another team match here at the KDL.